Listen carefully. What I'm about to tell you has been documented in over 40 residential zones across the northeastern corridor. It doesn't happen every night. It doesn't happen to everyone, but when it does, the pattern is always the same. It starts with the doorbell, always at 3 a.m. Not 2:58, not 3:02, exactly 3 in the morning down to the second. You'll hear it, that familiar chime you've heard 1,000 times during daylight hours, but something about it will feel wrong. The tone will hang in the air just a little too long. The echo will sound like it's coming from inside your walls instead of the hallway. Your first instinct will be to check the peephole. Don't. The first reported case came from a young woman in apartment 4B of the Riverside complex in March of last year. She lived alone, worked nights, got home around 2:30 a.m. most evenings. On March 14th, she was settling into bed when her doorbell rang. She assumed it was a neighbor with the wrong apartment, maybe someone locked out. She walked to the door in her slippers and looked through the peephole. She described what she saw as normal at first, an empty hallway, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, the welcome mat across from her door. But then she noticed something. The hallway stretched longer than it should. The far end where the elevator was seemed miles away, and standing at that impossible distance was a figure, completely still, facing her door. She blinked, and it was closer. Not walking, not moving, just closer, like frames had been cut from a film. She stepped back from the door, heart pounding. The doorbell rang again. When she looked through the peephole a second time, the figure was directly outside, inches from her door. She could see its face now, pressed against the glass of the peephole. But it wasn't a face. It was her face. Every detail perfect. Same hair, same tired eyes, same small scar on the left cheek from a childhood accident. The thing outside smiled. She didn't. When police arrived 20 minutes later, after neighbors reported screaming, they found her door wide open. She was found 3 days later in the building's storage container that shouldn't have fit a human body. The coroner's report noted that her eyes had been surgically removed and placed in her pockets. Her eyelids were sewn open with thread that matched the fiber content of her own hair. Since then, there have been 39 confirmed cases. The phenomenon appears exclusively in multi-unit residential buildings, apartments, condos, never single-family homes. Something about shared walls seems to matter, something about the layers of lives stacked on top of each other. The pattern never varies. The doorbell at 3 a.m., the empty hallway through the peephole, the figure in the distance, and if you keep looking, it gets closer. Some survivors reported seeing the figure blink in closer with each passing second. Others said it moved like water, flowing forward without steps. But everyone who looked long enough saw the same thing eventually, their own face staring back. We don't know what it wants, we don't know what it is, but we know the rules it follows. If your doorbell rings at exactly 3 a.m., do not approach the door. Do not call out asking who it is. Do not check your phone for security camera footage if you have it. The cameras never show anything useful, just static, or worse, they show you opening the door even though you're still in bed. If you've already walked to the door, stop. Do not look through the peephole. Turn around, go back to your bedroom, close the door, get under your covers, and count backwards from 100. Do not stop counting, even if you hear the doorbell ring again, even if you hear knocking, even if you hear your own voice from the other side of the door asking to be let in. The knocking is the second stage. It starts soft, polite almost, 3 gentle taps. If you don't respond, it gets louder, faster, more insistent. Survivors report the knocking eventually sounds like it's coming from every wall simultaneously, the ceiling, the floor, inside the closets. One man said he heard it coming from inside his own chest, like something was knocking on his ribs from the inside. Do not open the door during this phase, no matter what you hear, no matter who you think is out there. There was a case in October, a father of 2. His doorbell rang at 3 a.m. He ignored it, remembering the warnings that had started circulating online. But then he heard his daughter's voice. She was crying, saying she was locked out, asking Daddy to please open the door. He knew his daughter was asleep in her room. He'd checked on her before bed, but the voice was perfect. Every inflection, every little hiccup in her breath when she cried. He opened the door. His family woke up to find him standing in the hallway outside their apartment, facing the door, eyes wide open. He'd been there for hours. When they touched him, he didn't respond. His eyes didn't blink. His daughter later said that when she looked at her father's face, his expression looked wrong, like someone had tried to copy it from a photograph but got the proportions slightly off. He hasn't spoken since. The doctors say there's nothing physically wrong with him. Brain scans are normal, but he just stands wherever they put him, staring, waiting. Sometimes his lips move like he's trying to say something, but no sound comes out. The third stage, if you make it that far, is the silence. The knocking stops, the voice stops, everything becomes very, very quiet. This is when most people make their fatal mistake. They think it's over. They think whatever was out there has left. They go to check the peephole just to be sure. Don't. The silence means it's directly outside your door, waiting. It knows you're listening. It knows you're curious. It's patient. It can wait longer than you can stay awake. If you've made it to sunrise, you're safe. Whatever this thing is, it cannot persist past dawn. Multiple survivors report hearing footsteps walking away at exactly 5:47 a.m. Always that time, always receding down the hallway. The morning after, your doorbell will work normally. The hallway will look normal. There will be no evidence anything was ever there. But you'll know. You'll feel it every time you walk past your front door. Every time you hear your doorbell ring during the day, there'll be that split second of pure terror before you remember it's just the mailman, just a neighbor, just normal life. Some people move, most do. They can't stay in the apartment after it happens.